I want to bring in Evan Siegfried. He is a former presidential campaign advisor to Rudy Giuliani. And Evan, it's good to see you again. Thanks very much for joining us. Your take on the latest polls?
Well, you know, it's not surprising considering how Donald Trump is portraying a whole bunch of strength when President Obama is portraying a great deal of weakness and insecurity, and he's just uncertain. I think that President Obama is largely responsible for the rise of Trump because of Obama's just lack of understanding of what's going on, and he's so unsure, and it really trickles down to the people who are just terrified.
Yeah, and it's true, especially when he was overseas, guys. You know, he really wasn't in touch with the zeitgeist of the country, the fear that was out there.
Well, what also confirms, you know, Chuck Hagel, you've got Robert Gates and Leon Panetta are all saying the same thing about the administration, that they're not decisive, they're waiting to the last minute to do these things. And so I think that's also contributing to the problem. Is that not fair to say?
Oh, it's absolutely fair to say. We've seen time and time again the administration is making political calculations out of the White House instead of national security calculations. Oh, we don't want to bomb the oil fields because, you know, it might be an environmental disaster and we'll have the NRDC going after us.
So how far can Donald Trump get with this? We just showed a national poll showing that in a head-to-head competition.
Farther than you and I thought. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, that's true.
Clearly, but this poll shows that Hillary's numbers are advancing against him in a one-on-one competition.
Yes, Donald Trump's doing very well within the base of the Republican Party, the really angry and frustrated voter who really doesn't like having politicians come and overpromise and underdeliver year after year. And we do have a mess of candidates who are wonderfully qualified to be president of the United States. You've got Marco Rubio, you've got Ted Cruz, you've got Chris Christie, but Donald Trump really, he came in with a big name, and he came in and he just said what everybody was thinking, and that doesn't mean he's qualified, but he's really tapped into this anger and anxiety.
If he wins the nomination, has he rewritten the playbook for campaign operatives?
No. This is just, I think this is a once in a blue moon.
This is specific and unique to Donald Trump.
This is so unique in that it's the perfect storm. The situation on the ground in terms of what's going on is just completely unique.
But go back to when Rudy Giuliani was in the lead. I mean, you know, let's talk about the polls now and whether or not we should be buying into this. I mean, but he keeps gaining in the polls.
Yes, we're still 40-some days out, but what's going on right now in Iowa, and the New York Times highlighted this weekend, if you actually look, Iowa is all about a ground game, and the Donald Trump organization really doesn't exist in Iowa. It's even less so in New Hampshire and South Carolina, and he's leading in the polls, but when you look at Iowa, you have to go out and you have to get your precinct captains set up. You need to get people organizing, and if you don't have people organizing, come caucus day, Trump could underperform.
Why hasn't any of the political action committees attacked Donald Trump?
They have. They absolutely have. You have John Kasich's PAC went out and tried to...
The Jeb Bush PAC, which is funded a ton, Stu Stevens, who was the Romney strategist, said, why haven't these guys gone out and attacked them earlier? Tell me the attacks. I haven't seen anything from American Right to Rise.
Well, I have not personally, but I will absolutely look. If you actually look, over the summer, everybody thought he was going to flame out and be a one-hit wonder. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case. Trump is doing tremendous damage within the party. If you look at other ticket races, he's not going to help us maintain control of the Senate. He doesn't put the House of Representatives at risk, but he certainly makes it easier for Democrats to watch.
If you were advising one of these other candidates, what would you say? How would you attack Donald Trump, or would you not attack him at all?
At this point, I would try and do what Ted Cruz is doing and peel off certain percentages of each voting block. Ted Cruz has maintained a very smart strategy, which is paying off right now, which is why he's in the lead in Iowa.
You talk about the ground game. What kind of organization does he have? And I thought one of the lessons from the last presidential election was that the ground game matters a lot. Is this guy actually organized to be a presidential candidate?
Donald Trump? No, he's not. He's all about the big and show, and that's trademark of the Trump brand. But when it comes down to the details, he hasn't really done that, be it policy-wise, be it ground game and get out the vote operations.
So how does that translate on poll day when he's going into all these primaries?
We're seeing it right now. We're seeing in terms of the polling, he looks great. But I think when it comes down to actually voting, it's not going on election day.
Ted Cruz is that elementary school nerd that you played dodgeball with. Remember that nerd? He was waiting for the two jocks to kill each other at the end, and then he ran out of the corner, and he hit the last jock in the head with the ball, and he won. Is that Ted Cruz?
Hey, Anthony, I thought you and I were.
I wouldn't call Ted Cruz an elementary school nerd.
I'm
not sure who that insults more, the elementary school nerd or Ted Cruz, but...
But you said he's got a smart strategy.
It's very smart. He's gone out and he's looked and said, hey, you know, okay, these guys are going to be fighting for this particular voting bloc. You've got Trump. Trump and Carson fighting for sort of that really anger.
Can anyone like a Chris Christie pop up at this point, or are the top guys in the polls the ones who are going?
The top guys right now are Trump, Cruz, and a mixture, depending upon who comes out of New Hampshire, stronger, of Rubio and Christie. Rubio looked like he was coming up, but then the Manchester Union leader...
Jeb stick a fork in him?
Jeb, when he said that he'd give a big warm kiss to a Democrat who was willing to raise taxes, I think at that point you could kiss his career.
Why was that such a bad move?
It was just a very awkward thing, and it was sort of crystallized that this campaign was just an awkward campaign.
Is this awkward?
It's just been, he's a very smart guy, and he's qualified to be president, but as a campaigner, he could take an Ambien and have more life than what he has now.
Evan, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Great insights from you, Evan Siegfried.